offer in order to make sure that our students are prepared to enter their internships for their capstone and beyond at Luskin. So I'm very excited today to partner with the Financial Wellness Program here on campus. And for folks that attended our critiquing and developing your professional brand, you may recognize Sarah from our panel from fall quarter. So she brought a fantastic team of financial peers along with her. But before they get started, I just want to go over some quick logistical things. So as we're adjusting to this virtual world, I ask that everyone, of course, takes the opportunity to prioritize self-care, as well as we ask for people's flexibility and patience. We have multiple facilitators for this workshop, so there very well could be some technical difficulties, and for that we ask for your understanding in advance. For my fellow facilitators and panelists, I already see that you're doing so, but when you're not speaking, we ask that folks mute their microphone. For our attendees, feel free to either have your camera on or off. I know, at least for me as a facilitator, I usually thrive from the energy of participants and being seen, but also simultaneously, I respect that if you are not prepared to be seen, you can go ahead and leave your camera off. As a reminder as well, we are recording this session just as a heads up. Per usual for folks that have come to our other workshops this quarter, Justin is going to facilitate a group photo at the very end, so just know that that's going to happen, and by group photo I mean a screenshot. And for folks that are attending, about halfway through, Justin is going to drop a link in the chat for our attendance, so please fill it out regardless of whether or not you're attending this workshop for credit, because it'll help make sure that ours and the Financial Wellness Program's data are accurate and up to date. And the financial, we're also going to do things a little bit differently this workshop for folks that have attended. So for our past workshops, most folks are used to direct messaging me, and I facilitate and moderate the Q&A. But since we have so many wonderful financial wellness peers here, they're actually going to directly handle the Q&A on their own, as we discussed. I think that is it. So I'm going to go ahead and take a step back and let our amazing financial wellness peers take the floor. Thank you so much.
Hi, so we're with the Financial Wellness Program, and what we offer 3 different services. So we offer a one-on-one appointment, so you can talk about your finances. If you have like any financial stress, or if you want to like learn how to make a budget, open a credit card, we're there. Currently, we also offer online webinars, like similar to this one, but usually during the school year, we offer like workshops. So they can be on various different topics like budgeting, credit, financial stress. And our third one is online resources on our website. So say you don't really want to talk to anyone or like interact, it's totally understandable. You can just go on our website and all of our resources will be there. So with that, let's get started. Let me share my screen. Sorry, wait, give me a second. Okay. Can everyone see my screen? Okay. So first off, does anyone want to say what credit is? And if you're shy, you could always just type it in the chat. Wait, I don't know how to check the chat in screen share, but
I'll help you out, Christy. So Christy asks if anyone knows what credit is, what credit means to you.
And if you're shy, you could just type it into the chat. You don't have to say it out loud, because I know it's like really scary in a Zoom call. It's totally understandable.
I know we have 32 beautiful people on this call, so anything, just take a stab at it. What have you heard about credit? What does it mean to you? So Davina says, I know it's a number that represents how financially smart you are.
I was gonna say it, but can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It's just, I know it's like a number that has a lot of different like trade lines, and there's different things that make up your credit score. But essentially, I don't know like what its purpose is other than just to show that you're financially like responsible.
Okay, that's a good answer. So let's move into the presentation. So credit is the amount that's available for one person to borrow, and usually it has to be paid back with interest. But we'll go into it later on, and sometimes they might be like zero interest, low interest, depending on what you get. So these are just some stats. So the average student loan debt based on your age. So when you're 18 to 20, it's about $600. But once you get a little bit older, like 23, 24, it usually goes up and it's about like 1,000. And that's usually because after graduation, you might be borrowing a lot more money to pay off like maybe student debt or like just buying or like becoming more financially independent. And the second one is a chart, and it shows like portion of households with credit card debt, and this is taken like the years after the Great Recession. So you can see like it was really high in 2009, but like starting in 2014 it became a lot lower. Currently, if you do that right now, it might be a little bit different, so could talk about that later. So at UCLA, 51% of incoming undergraduate students have a credit card, 33% have more than one credit card, and 19% have a rollover balance of $1,000 or more. So a rollover balance is the amount that you aren't able to pay off after, like in your credit card. So let's say you use your credit card on $100 worth of like what if you use it on like books and supplies, or you use it like eating out. Let's say you use $100, and if you only pay like $15 of that, then your rollover balance would be $85. So a credit score, like similar to what you were saying earlier, it's a measure of your financial health. And so this is a chart basically saying like what your credit score number is and what type of score it is considered. So you can purchase your report from FICO for $20 or for free once a year at annualcreditreport.com. And also just be careful because there's a site that's called freeannualcreditreport.com, but it's not free on there. So just to like make that distinction, and like it's kind of hard to remember, but that's one way that you can try to. So why credit is important is say like if your credit score is lower, then your interest rate will be a lot higher when you take out like an auto loan or a car loan. So let's say your score is about like 500, your interest rate would be like about 10%, and you would end up paying like $648,000 on like a home mortgage. But let's say your score is a lot higher and around like 760 to like 850. Your interest rate would be like half of what you would have if you have lower credit score, and your total cost would go down to $400,000, and that's almost $200,000 that you would like not be paying if you had a higher credit score. So if you want to take out an auto loan, it's important to know what your credit score is, because sometimes car dealers might be predatory and they'll try to take advantage of the fact that you don't know what your credit is. So if you have a score between 720 to 850, they have to offer you a 1.99% annual percentage rate or lower. So if you know your score, you won't be cheated out of that. And some other ways credit can be used is if you're like paying medical bills, if you buy a phone and you have like a payment plan to pay it off. And this also applies to like furniture, mattresses, if you have to take out a personal loan for anything, also like home mortgage, and plus loans for college. And then one thing this can also affect is approval for graduate plus loans. And some law schools might look at credit as part of your application process. So it's really important to build that. But some law schools are trying to phase this out. But it's also something to keep in mind if you decide to apply to graduate school or law school.
Hi, everyone. My name is Alma. So I'm going to talk about what your credit report is. Basically, it's just a history of your credit, just a very long list. And it's tracked by Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion, which are 3 credit bureaus. They just provide that for you on the website that Christy said earlier, the annualcreditreport.com. Next, please. Oh, no. Thank you. So the credit report has personal information such as your name and any variations of your name. They also have any addresses you've had, your social security number, and credit relationships. So what this means are like what accounts you have open, credit lines, if you have loans or just other credit cards or like mortgages, those count as your credit relationships. It also shows your payment history. So just like if you miss any payments, if you've been paying them off on time, if in full, if not in full. And it also says how much you owe. So like Christy said, if you didn't pay the full $100 and you have $85 left to pay, that's going to show up on there. It's also going to show your income. Next, please. So there's this thing called soft credit checks and hard credit checks. Soft credit checks are used as like background checks. So your employer may do this, or if you're renting an apartment, some of them may do a soft credit check, some of them may do a hard credit check. Also, if you're trying to get an insurance quote, and you can also just check your credit score personally. So the website you would go to check this is like creditkarma.com or Credit Sesame. I'm sure you've seen like commercials about them. And what right here, when it says will not impact your credit score, that means you can check it as many times as you want. The only problem with, or not a problem, but just something to know about soft credit checks is that they're an estimate. So it's not like the exact number, and it doesn't have as much information as your hard credit check. But it's really important to check it anyways, just to keep up with if it's really low, if it's high, like, okay, I need to work on to try to get it higher, Hard inquiries, like Christy mentioned, you would go to annualcreditreport.com. And for this one, you would need, if you're trying to apply for a new credit card, some apartments may ask you to do a hard credit check, but usually it's soft credit check. And also if you're trying to apply for a loan, and also like Christy said, an auto loan. And what it means by it may impact your credit score is if you order it once a year, it's free. But if you order it more than once, lenders may see that as something risky because they're like, oh, why are they checking this so often? Like, should we not trust them? And so then this could dock down your credit score, which is unfortunate, but it will grow back over time. Yes. Next, please.
Hi, everyone. I just wanted to quickly pause and say too, if you all have any questions at any time throughout the presentation or need us to slow down for any reason, please let us know. I'm helping to manage the chat box, but there are no silly questions about credit. We know that this may be the first time some of you are learning about credit, or some of you are maybe hearing some of this information for the first time. So please, please, please ask us. We want to make sure this is a safe space where you all feel free to ask us any questions you may have.
Totally.
Thank you.
And I'll add on to that. If any of you feel uncomfortable asking your question, feel free to direct message it to me and I can ask it on your behalf. That's no problem at all.
Yeah, sorry about if I've been speaking very quickly. So yes.
office with cubicles?
Yeah, so to check your soft credit check, a website is creditkarma.com. It's actually on this slide, as you can see. Student asked me. But yeah, to prevent credit identity theft, you should check your credit score. And like I said, creditkarma.com. Even if you don't think you have credit, so say you don't have a credit card, you still actually are building credit if you have student loans. And you actually, even if you don't have student loans or a credit card, you never know if somebody like stole your identity and opened something in your name. So it's always nice to check that just to make sure everything's accurate. And something really important is if you get like your credit card statement or just any documents that may have your account number or just your address or anything, it's really important to just like shred those or like cut them into ways that they're illegible, just so nobody takes your information. And something that's really important is if you go traveling, call your bank and just let them know that you're going to Mexico or Cuba or something, just so if they see that you use it in those places, they don't think somebody stole your identity, or your credit card. You're just going to say like, oh yeah, that was me. I know my bank, which is Bank of America, if I, for example, try to use my credit card, but something didn't happen, or my debit card, and I accidentally put the code in wrong, I will get a text saying like, was this you? And if you get something like that and you didn't use your credit card or anything, then definitely let them know. As already stated, please check your credit card statements for fraud. Even if they're just little things, like if somebody used $25 for gas somewhere that you weren't there, you don't want anybody taking your money. And yeah, next please.
Really quickly, we have someone who asked, they said they were a victim of identity theft last year, and how can they prevent this from happening to them again in the future?
Yeah, so identity theft, right? You said?
Yeah,
Yeah.
identity theft.
Yeah, so like I said, try to keep your information private. If you see anything that's wrong on your credit score, definitely let like the credit bureau know. They're going to be the ones that have to fix that. And I've heard it is a lengthy process to like fix everything. But yeah, let me know if anybody wants to add anything else.
Yeah, one more thing I'd like to add too is because we're all virtual workers and learners right now due to COVID-19, something to be mindful of is that there are more opportunities for folks to commit fraud or to get information from you. For example, I've had a lot of folks calling me from unknown numbers saying, is this Sarah Potter? We mailed something to this address, and we also sent something to this email. Are these the correct addresses and email accounts? And then they'll like hang up, right? And so knowing that people are trying to fish for information, never say, yes, that is my address, that is my email, unless you know for certain that they are from your bank and they are a representative and they state, I'm calling on behalf of Wells Fargo or Bank of America or Westcom Credit Union. So just be mindful of that as well. I don't know if anyone else has started to receive some of those calls lately.
Yeah. And some other tips I can use, you will never have to say your social security into the phone, ever. So if anybody asks you that, or they ask for like your bank account number, don't do it unless you know for sure that they're a bank representative. And most of the time, they don't even call you. You would have to call them. And sorry, the number for that would have to be on the back of your card. So if you get some random letter in the mail for some bank that you have no association with, but they're like, oh, you have this loan with us, go to this website, call this number, and then they ask you for a lot of personal information, it's a scam. Please don't fall for it. So if you notice fraud, like I said, call your credit card company. And what this means by zero liability policies is if you report fraud, some banks will just fix it, take it off the record, and you don't have to pay the money back just for free. Although some banks apparently charge you a maximum of $50 to do that. I think most of them are zero liability though. Yeah, like I said, change your card, passwords, PIN numbers, try to keep that in a safe place. Don't go taking pictures, putting on like Twitter or Facebook. Just keep all the numbers hidden. Continue your credit card activity. So just Credit Karma, checking, making sure everything's dandy, and your bank statements as well. Yeah, pretty much. Thank you. Next one.
There's also this really cool app I've heard about called Fast Pass, kind of like the Fast Pass at Disneyland. And it's an app that will allow you to store all of your passwords in a secured environment, so that you're not writing down all your passwords on a random piece of paper that might be lost, or taking a picture of them and having it in your phone, which could be hacked. So I would look into that, and we can definitely send that out to you all after this.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. So the factors that go into calculating your credit score, the biggest one is payment history. So just have you paid your bills on time, in full? If you haven't, 30% is amounts owed. So that's what I meant by if you haven't. So let's say you have a rollover balance, that's going to be accounted for in there. And rollover balances aren't really good to have. So it will probably lower your credit score a little bit. 10% new credit, that means if you open like a new credit card, if you just got a new loan, and then 15% length of credit history. Have you had it for 2 years? Have you had it for 10 years? The longer you've had it, the better that's going to be. And the types of credit in use, if you have certain credit cards, you have student loans, if you have an auto loan, all of that counts as credit. And it's good to have multiple types of credit just to, diversify everything. Yeah. Thank you.
So Elma, we just had a question about student loans, and if student loans will show up on your credit score, and if they'll also show up when you open an account with Credit Karma.
Yes, so they should show up on any type of credit report. Yes. That is all for me. Thank you.
Okay, I hope I'm audible. I'm going to walk us through everything that Alma and Christy kind of laid out for us. I think it'll help for us to take this opportunity to see Jordan as a way to think about ourselves, and we can think about, what does this mean for my credit report? Okay, so this way we can kind of cement into our brains the different factors that go into making a credit score. So the first type that shows up for Jordan is Jordan's payment history. A lot of people seem to think that payment history actually makes up like the bulk of your credit report, which is what I always thought. I thought it was kind of like closer to 90, 100%, but it's only 35%. Still a huge major factor. And like Alma said, this is about like on-time payments. One late payment, you can work over that, but what hurts your credit score the most is having multiple late payments over and over and over. And that's true for credit card payments, as well as mortgages and repaying your loans when it comes time for that. Missing a payment on any bill affects your credit score negatively, and that includes credit card bills, student loans, mortgage loans, car loans.
We got a question, Kat, we got a question asking, what are some tools to help me pay on time?
Okay, that's a great question. I know that for my bank payments, there's a lot of ways that you can kind of set up automatic withdrawals. And if that scares you because you're afraid, what if there's a moment when I don't have enough money and I'm not paying attention to it and it just kind of takes that money and it defaults? What you could do instead that I do on things like Target Red Card is I set up a notification so that it reminds me a week in advance. I think that's a really great way to keep yourself in track. And if you can't do it on the automatic institution, you can use your planner, you could do Google Calendar. You want to make sure you're notifying yourself every month and not just like the day of, because you might not have the money you want to be sure it's a little bit before, that no matter what, you can scramble together and pull together the money to pay on time. I think that's one way. But if anyone else has other tips, feel free to chat them or just pop in your voice. I'm going to move on to the second factor after payment history. And this is the amount of debt that you have. So Jordan, this is a sad face, and Jordan's not doing too hot because Jordan's credit limit is $500 and they take out $400. The recommended amount of debt that you owe should be 30% of your limit. So say my bank lends me $1,000 and that's my maximum. I would think that I can take out like $900, but I always am going to want to limit to myself to $300. And the reason for that is because this is known as your credit utilization rate, right? And it's a big impact on your credit score. It's actually 30% because it identifies whether or not you're a high risk borrower. If you borrow a lot, that's going to alert like the credit companies like, what's going on? Even though nothing's going on and you just need that money, it will negatively impact your score. So I would just recommend opening up different lines of credit and borrowing up to maximum like 30% at a time. After those two factors, we have your credit age or your credit history. And this makes up about 15% of your credit score. When it comes to the age of your credit accounts, they are going to look at the longest standing account that you have, or if you have a lot of accounts, they're going to average out the ages of your combined accounts. So it's best to have long-standing accounts. It's kind of like leaving wine to grow old. It just gets better with time. So the reason for this is because this is such a great thing for your credit score, you're going to want to be kind of reluctant to close out your older accounts unless there's like a real need to do so. When you do close out accounts, it's always going to hurt your credit score a little bit. Like Christy said, you can bounce back. But just so that you know, in moments when you're leading up to a huge financial purchase and you need someone to like check your credit, you don't want to do these certain things that are going to take down your credit score for a notch for a little bit. After these ones,
someone asked, what if my credit card has an annual fee and I'm not using it anymore? Should I cancel this card?
That's a good question because it's really realistic. I say yes, but other people can provide their own advice. And the reason for why I say yes is because the annual fees, that's a really downer in my opinion. For a lot of cards that you don't use, it's great to keep them open anyways because you can kind of just buy like a pack of gum every year and keep it open, and it's beneficial for your credit card. If you determine though this services me less than it provides me, it like costs me more than it services me, it's totally okay to close your credit card, just so that you're aware that it's going to hurt your credit card score. But despite all these things that we say, oh, hard checks will hurt your credit score, this will hurt your credit score, some of it you need to do because it's just what would be best for your life right now. As long as you know what it's doing to your credit score so that you're not surprised and you're not unsure like what factors into my score, it's like that you know and you can monitor it so it can be at the best that it can be for when you need to like take out a loan for a car or a home or move into a new apartment. Those are the moments when you need your credit score to be good. Someone
we have two more questions.
Okay.
The first question is a student loan or a checking account through a credit union considered a line of credit?
A student loan is considered a line of credit, and it's actually a really important line of credit. Just backtracking to, oh wait, not backtracking, but this is the fourth one. So I'm going to use this way to segue into the fourth factor before answering the second question. Okay. The fourth factor is the account mix, and this factors into 10% of your score, which is pretty important. There's two main types of credit accounts that go into this mix, right? There's revolving debt, and that's things like credit cards, and there's installment debt, and that's loans such as student loans, car loans, mortgage loans. So take, for example, Jordan, and they don't look too hot because Jordan has a majority of revolving debt, and maybe Jordan has a Forever 21 card, a Target Red card, and a credit card. Maybe Jordan isn't me, and maybe that's actually me. And like Jordan, I haven't taken out any loans. And so even though I'm doing a great job of my payment history, even though I've had these lines of debt credit for a long time, one way that my credit score isn't perfect is because I don't have a really big mix. So Davina, if you do have student loans or you know someone that does, let them know that that isn't hurting them so much. It's showing credit institutions this person is a borrower in different ways, so long as you pay that back when it's time to do so. And there's different plans that you can do to pay back your student debt, and you can talk to us about it. The second question I'm reading is, will it affect your credit score if you pay off your student loans quickly or over your time frame? And does it show up as the debt was paid? It does show up as the debt was paid, but I want to say something that's weird that people don't know about credit. Surprising things that affect your credit score is paying off a loan. So say, for example, you pay off your student loans or your auto loan, and it was the only form of that kind of loan. Student and auto loans are installment loans, right? And maybe you only have student loans as your installment loan and no other installment loans on your books. Then your credit score can take a small hit, even though it sounds backwards. That's just kind of how credit works. But while closing a loan can negatively affect your credit utilization rate, no, I'm sorry. I mean to say closing a loan can also, even though it negatively hurts your credit score in the short term, if this is beneficial for you in the long term, it's important to do so. It's just as you go on through your life and you keep on aging, there's always going to be a different mix of credit that you're engaging with. And I just want you to know that if you pay off one, maybe it's good to have like another type that you're still paying off. Okay.
Yeah.
And then,
so if I could say something real quick, Kat is super on point. So for example, I took out a loan to buy my car in 2013. A few years later, I was able to pay off my car loan about 4 to 5 years later. And my score actually dropped, my credit score dropped when I paid off my car loan. Because as Kat is saying, it closed one of my lines of credit. So the lines of credit I had open were less diverse. So as Kat was saying, for the immediate short term, my credit score dropped, but then over the next few months, my overall debt was less. And so my credit score began to go back up. Credit scores can be such a game to figure out, how to kind of work the system. But as this student asks, yes, if you pay off your student loan right away, right after you graduate and you're able and in the position to do that, it will minimize your overall debt, but your credit score might actually drop for a little bit because you're closing your diversification of lines of credit. Great job, Kat.
thank you, Sarah. I'm going to move into the last percentage that factors into your credit score. And feel free to keep on dropping questions. There's such great ones. This is your new credit. And you can think of this as your credit inquiry. You're opening up new lines of credit. And every time you do that, they're going to check your credit. And checking your credit, like Alma said, and drops these wonderful websites for us, actually does knock down your credit a little bit. They do hard checks. And every time that a hard check is done, the credit institutions see it as, why does this person keep on checking their credit? Do they need to borrow a lot of money? Are we supposed to be worrying about them? And that's just kind of the line of thinking, and that's why it takes it down a little bit. The difference between soft and hard, and the reason why you should typically do your soft credits, it's soft because it's not as accurate, but it's pretty darn accurate. And it just doesn't touch your credit. So it won't hurt in any way. Some examples so Jordan hasn't taken out any new credit, and that's why their credit score is kind of staying the same in that realm. But some examples of credit inquiries that you could do are if you need to take out like insurance, or if you open up a new credit card, or even if you get a new cell phone plan and if your cell phone provider happens to do a hard inquiry. So I just want to put that out there so that you know it's not just things like when you're interacting with financial institutions like the bank or a loan provider. When you go on through your life and you realize like this is kind of a big financial move, don't feel afraid to ask, are y'all going to do a hard credit check? Because maybe next week you want to go to the bank and you want to take out a loan. You want to know, you don't want to be hurt because you didn't realize that something you did like a few weeks back actually did like took down your credit score less than you thought it was. Okay, and that's my section. Just the last thing I'll end off on is that ways that your credit score is impacted is if you have these payments to people and they report it to your credit reporter because you aren't paying them. So maybe things like your bills, like your utility bills, your rent, if you owe like child support or something like that, or medical bills or parking tickets and you don't pay them for a long time, they can factor into your credit score. So you don't want to just pay off your bills, like your credit card bills. You want to pay off everything that you know that you owe, if you can, to your best ability. Okay, so I have 2 last slides. So just to sum up, what is helping is making these payments on time, keeping yourself within that 30% limit, trying to limit yourself to the number of credit inquiries that you do. Try to space them out over time so that you're not doing it all within like a month or even a year. And letting your accounts age like fine wine or like fermented stuff. It's just better the longer and the older it gets. Check it regularly, and this is good, just not just to keep yourself in track, like, whoa, what am I doing? But also, I check my credit card in my credit report regularly, and a few months back, I realized like someone was ordering Chick-fil-A in Minneapolis, and I knew it couldn't be me because I don't eat Chick-fil-A. And it happened, and I'm really glad I checked it because just like the person I am, I know I would have let it keep happening because I would have thought like, people need to eat. But it's just good to like cut that off as soon as possible rather than letting it go on for months. And then reducing your total debt in whatever ways you can. If you can't pay off everything, and it all overwhelms you, paying off like a percentage and talking to your providers and letting them know like what works best for you, that's what I would recommend. And recognizing that even though these institutions feel really rigid and unforgiving, search for little cracks of flexibility, especially in terms of like repaying your student loans. The last slide is what is not helping your credit score. And this is things like, as we all know, not paying things back on time, maybe not even paying at all. Pay what you can, and try to reduce that for yourself in the long run. Having high credit card balances and owing a lot, closing old or unused credit cards, which is why we recommend kind of keeping like credit lines and just kind of like buying like packs of gum or like a new backpack on one of them like once a year, just to keep it open. And then having like only one type of credit open, like either only credit cards or only loans, filing for bankruptcy. And I think that one kind of makes sense intrinsically, like that when you file for bankruptcy, it's going to totally tank your credit score. And then taking out payday loans too. In their nature, payday loans, if you pay them back, they shouldn't hurt your credit score too much. It's just that the trend with taking out payday loans statistically shows that like it's really hard to pay back because of the circumstance that you take it out in. So they tank your credit score a lot. That's my section. I'm going to pass it off to Leanne, but there's one last question that someone dropped. What if you have high credit card balances, more than 30%, but you've always paid them back on time without interest? In that case, you can kind of calculate it the way you do with your class, with your grade in any of your classes. Like this percentage is worth this much, and then this is worth this much. Since you always paid them back, your payment history is going to be the best that it can be. And that's 35%. And you're in luck because that's the biggest factor. But if you have high credit card balances, the amount you owe, which is 30% of your score, probably isn't going to be in the best that it can be. The way you can offset that, just because of like whatever circumstance you're in that you need to take out that much, I would recommend that you do your best in terms of the other factors. Just letting it age. If you are in circumstances where you like need to take out a different type of loan and you can, to do that and to not do inquiries. There are things that you can't fix them in a week, but that's okay because they will get better with time. Just leaving it there and letting it get better. That's what I would recommend.
So yeah. I have 3 quick questions that came into me. The first one is, if you have a subsidized student loan while you're in college, does it impact your credit score if you wait until after college to pay back the subsidized loan?
That's a wonderful thing about subsidized loans. I don't think it does. I think most people with subsidized loans actually start paying them after you get out of college. Not only like right after, but 6 months after you get out of college, there's no interest accruing. So take your time to find your job, get yourself settled, and then start paying them back. What you want to do upon graduation is enroll in a plan, and you're just going to call your creditor and figure out what works best for you for your post-grad lifestyle. But right now, it's not hurting your credit score. Sarah, do you want to add anything to that or edit it?
Yeah, so while you're in school, your student loans are not negatively impacting your credit score for not paying them regularly every month. It begins to hurt your credit score if after, like Kat said, the 6-month grace period has expired and you're still not communicating to your loan servicer about your plan to repay your loans. So all students can get up to 36 months of deferring their loans for paying deferring the payment on their loans after the 6-month grace period is over, but you have to communicate that with your loan servicer. So once the 6-month grace period is over, that's when not paying or not communicating your financial situation can negatively impact your credit score. Right now, by taking out student loans and having it show up as a line of credit on your credit report, that's actually a positive thing because you're showing that you are able to borrow money right now. And then as soon as you slowly start to pay it back, you're showing that you are responsibly committing to paying back what you had borrowed. So with credit scores, it's kind of interesting because you have to borrow money and pay it back to have a higher credit score. So there are some people who have never taken out a credit card or never taken out a loan, and their credit score is actually really, really low. And they'll come in and they'll tell me, well, I've never taken out any sort of loan. I've never opened a credit card. I don't owe any debt at all. And I said, well, that's actually hurting your credit score because you have to borrow money and pay it back to have a higher credit score. We also got another question about Credit Karma. The question is it safe for us to put our social security number in our application to make an account with Credit Karma? They're actually trying to make an account right now as we speak, and they're asking for their SSN and want to know if it's safe.
I would say it is. Our first person who spoke, Christy, we were talking this morning, and she actually has Credit Karma. It is safe and reliable. And Credit Karma does this great thing where they'll send you your credit score and how it's fluctuated every month. I don't know if that's going to make you anxious or if that's going to make you feel good, but I think it's good to be in the know. And that way it's going to teach you like, ooh, I see what exactly like factors into like the ups and downs of my credit. I think it's great that you're taking the time to make an account.
And Credit Karma has online banking level security. So as Kat mentioned, it is safe to input that information into your account. And we received one more question. So this person wants to know, so they say every month they charge an amount to their card that is above 30%, but at the end of the month, they're able to pay it all back and all off. Is that okay?
Okay, this is a lot similar to a question we've already had. And if this is what's necessary for your situation, then that's the best it can get, right? But you're doing really hot in how you're paying it back. But in terms of like your credit usage, that's a different section. And so like how you would get an A in a class and get like 100%, there's a section that you're not doing the best in. So whether I think it's okay or whether the financial institutions think it's okay, I think they're still going to dog you for taking out more than 30%. And it's backwards because they said you could take out this much. And so I can't really justify the way they think, but that's the way that they see it. That they just really don't like it when you take out too much. They see you as a high risk borrower, even though you pay it back on time. So I just want to put that out there so that you know and you can make the best decision for you. And I know that you're making the best decisions you can. I also had a few questions too before I pass it on to Leanne. Someone asked, what if I've tried to diversify my credit and apply for a car loan, but I can't get approved because of my credit card balances. Are there any tips or specific companies you think are good for students to try to take out loans with? And I'm going to open this question up to my peers and Sarah.
Yeah, so if you're looking to take out a car loan, this is a really, really great question. I would really recommend connecting with a credit union to see if you can get a car loan first through the credit union. And then what you would do is take that car loan to the dealership when you're looking for a car. So you're not getting your line of credit through an auto financer through the dealership. You're already walking into the dealership with a line of credit that has been pre-approved by a credit union. I will say that our program works really closely with Westcom, and Westcom actually has a car loan program that will help you find the best deal for a car and also help you take out a line of credit and a car loan to purchase the car. So that's what I would recommend. Is reaching out to Westcom, and they also have a lot of deals for college students who are first-time car buyers as well. Good question.
Okay, and I got one last question from someone, and they said, how do I communicate with my loan servicer as a UCLA student? I just don't know who. Do I call financial aid? And that's a really good question, because I think there's a lot of misinformation about loan servicers. Just people kind of take it out and they never want to think about it again. And I really get why. Your loan servicer, that can be a federal loan servicer, or maybe you took out some student loans from UCLA. That's a great question, especially in the context of right now. You want to know what the implications of COVID-19 are on your loans. You can check your loan servicer if you just don't know who it is. There's a website for finding out who your loan servicer is. Let me pull it up. Oh, wonderful. Thank you, Alma. So studentaid.gov has a lot of different sites to help you make decisions that are best for you. There's a tab, or there should be a tab on servicer, studentaid.gov/servicer. And that way you can find out who it is. And you can call them or email them. And I suggest you do so that you figure out what are my options for repaying them back now if I'm going to graduate soon, and then things like that. Do you guys have anything to add? If not, I will pass it on to Leanne to finish off our slide.
I'll just say that studentaid.gov, when you log in and create your account, it's a really, really great resource, as Kat mentioned. Literally, it has every federal loan you've taken out in one column. The next column has all the different phone numbers and addresses of the person who, or the servicer who you want to communicate with to repay that loan. So it has it all organized in a chart for you. It'll also show you like how much interest has accrued on the loan already, and also allow you to do a student loan repayment calculation based on different types of repayment plans. So it's a really helpful website and has everything organized there. And as Kat mentioned, if you have a loan you've taken out from UCLA, you'll want to contact the UCLA collections office, and you have a counselor assigned to you per your last name that'll help you with repayment plans for any UCLA university-based loans. But most folks right now have access to federal loans. If you have a California Dream loan, you'll want to contact UCLA collections office as well. And if you have a Perkins loan, so this may be some of my seniors or juniors that are on the call. If you have a Perkins loan you've taken out, that is also through UCLA collections. And Alma very graciously just gave you both links in the chat box. Great question.
Okay, hi everyone. So now I'm going to talk about what's something that's hurting your credit score. And this is what Kat mentioned earlier. Bankruptcy is something that's a last resort. This is officially declaring that you don't have sufficient money to pay back your outstanding loans or expenses. And the reason why this is a last resort is because it impacts your ability to borrow and access credit for 7 years. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so if you're ready to start a credit card, we're going to give you some tips on deciding on what kind of credit card to open up and why it's helpful to help establish credit. So for your first credit card, there's a lot of different options. If you go to a store often, like say Target, or you do a lot of shopping on Amazon, then this could be a really great option for you because you can get a lot of cash back for spending from these sites or going to these stores often. A student credit card is something that a lot of students want to take advantage of because while you're in school, they don't require you to have a long credit history to apply for these cards, and your approval odds will probably be a lot higher. If this is your first credit card, you can look into doing a secured credit card. How this works is you put money up front. So if you're not sure if you'll be able to pay off the credit card on time, or you're nervous that you're going to overspend, you can put the money up front so that if you're not able to pay on time, your lender can just take this money. Or if you're worried about overspending, you're restricted to just the amount that you put up front. Some things to look for your first card is to look for no annual fee. Start with a small credit limit so you can limit how much you're spending. Make sure you know when you have to make the payments. It's important to look out for the time zone differences because sometimes it'll say like 12 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, so you got to make sure that you're paying your statements every month at 9 p.m. instead of 12 a.m. or that'd be considered late. You want to look into how late payments work. So if you were to just pay late the first time, would the fee be waived for you? Or if you're not able to pay on time, will your interest rate be raised just because you missed the one payment? Let me see, I have a question here. It says, would you recommend opening up a credit card with a current credit union that I have? Okay, so this is a good question. We're going to go into more detail on just types of credit cards and what would be advantageous and some sites that you can look at. So I'll hold on to that until we get to that slide. So once you've had a credit card open up for a while, then you can look into different options to see if you can find cards that give you cash back or points for like travel rewards, if that's something that you do often. So you got to make sure that you read the fine print because sometimes the rewards can only be spent at certain places or only redeemed at certain times. And sometimes these rewards can expire. If you're going to be opening up these specific cards, you have to make sure that the benefits are going to outweigh the costs. So even if you're going to get cash back, maybe there's going to be a high annual fee that offsets this, or you're charged a really high interest rate, so it wouldn't be as advantageous. Okay, so this is getting back to your question on comparing different types of credit cards. Some really helpful sites that you can look at are NerdWallet, CardHub, or comparecards.com. If you go into the next slide, it'll show you how these sites compare the cards. So if you go on comparecards.com, this gives you a breakdown of the different cards available that you want to compare. You can pick like 3 cards or like more to put side by side. And you can see what the average credit score is required for you to apply for this card and get approved. It'll show you sign-up offers, so see if you'll get like a bonus for signing up for spending a certain amount. It'll tell you what the intro annual percentage rate is, what your interest rate you're going to be charged is. And it'll also tell you what the intro balance transfer APR is. So saying if you're going to open up a new credit card and transfer an existing balance over to this card, it'll tell you how much you'll be charged for that. So to answer your question, I think it'd just be helpful for you to look at the type of credit card your credit union provides and probably add it to the list and see what the credit score required is to get approved for this card, how high the interest rate is, how high the intro balance APR is, and just see like what your priority is for the card and what would be most beneficial to you. So if you think that your credit union offers the best type of credit card for you, then yeah, I would recommend going for that. So some helpful resources that were mentioned earlier in the presentation to check your credit score. These are all soft credit check sites. So if you go to like Credit Sesame or Credit Karma, those two are just soft credit checks. So that won't impact your score even if you want to check it daily and very consistently. Annualcreditreport.com. This one is the hard credit check. So we advise that you only do this once per year because it will impact your credit score if you check it often. And then moneygeek.com and nerdwallet.com are just some other resources for you to check out different credit card options. Okay, so I'm going to pass this on to Sarah so she can talk more about credit in times of this pandemic.
Awesome. Thank you, peer coaches. You all did such a great job. Very grateful for the work that you all do in coaching our students one-on-one and doing these virtual workshops. Like Christy mentioned at the beginning of this presentation, if you ever want to sit down and have a one-on-one virtual session with a peer coach to talk about specifics of your credit journey or your budget, or have specific questions about your student loans, we recommend that you reach out to our website, which is located on the screen. And there's a tab where you can click make an appointment, and Alma will actually get back to you and assign you to a peer coach based on what you're looking for and the times that you're available. So again, these virtual one-on-one sessions are hosted every week for you all. Catherine also just sent the link to make an appointment into the chat box. Thank you, Kat. So with the COVID-19 pandemic that's going on right now, there are some changes to how we can potentially manage our credit and how that can impact our credit score right now. I will say, if you, a family member, a friend, are having trouble paying your credit card minimum or paying off your credit card right now, you can do what's called a credit deferral application. And so most financial institutions have a deferral form that you can fill out, where you can express that you're having financial hardship related to COVID-19 and ask for a deferral on your monthly payments. When you submit this form, you're going to want to ask if the financial institution is sending these deferral payments to the credit bureaus to make sure that it's not going to impact your credit score in any way. Most are not reporting if someone is submitting this deferral form, but you'll just want to confirm that upon filling it out. If you're someone right now who maybe does not have a credit card yet, or if you're someone right now who maybe has one credit card out that gives you cash back on your purchases that will go towards paying off your credit card, but you're wanting to, in the future, when we can travel again, you want to maybe open a card that will allow you to have travel points, which I really, really recommend opening a card for travel points if that's something that you think is going to interest you in the future. I know things are uncertain now, but I have faith that we'll be able to travel freely again. You know, with using the travel rewards card, I've gotten hotel nights for free. I've gotten plane tickets to travel to different places for free just by using that card for my everyday expenses. So that would be something I'd recommend. Right now, credit card companies are offering a much lower APR, so a much lower interest rate on their credit cards. So the normal interest rate we see for credit cards is anywhere between like 18 to 24% annual interest rate. So if you think about student loans, those are like 5 to 7% annual interest rate. So credit card interest rates are much higher than other forms of credit that you might borrow, and that's how they make their money. But right now, interest rates are lower than normal. So instead of the 18 to 24%, they might be as low as like 15 or 16% to open a credit card and to get locked into that interest rate. So if you're thinking about it, I would definitely act on it now and try to take out a credit card now because of that lower rate. Also, if you, a friend, a family member has a huge rollover balance on your credit card that you're in a situation that right now you're just not able to pay it off every month, and so there's debt that's rolling over month to month, you can do what's called a balance transfer to a different credit card. So you can take that debt, transfer it to a new credit card. Usually there is a fee associated with doing that type of transfer. what you'll want to do is calculate if that fee is less than the amount of interest that would accrue for you for the year. So if it is less, I would look into it. Right now, because of COVID-19, a lot of financial institutions are offering a much lower fee for balance transfers. So instead of $250 for maybe a transfer fee, they're looking more like $100. So that's also another option for conserving or consolidating some of your debt. We got a question from a student who currently has a secured credit card. So that means that they fronted money on a credit card to open a line of credit. So essentially they're borrowing against their own money. Leanne talked a little bit about that. And they asked, how long do we suggest that someone continue to use the secured credit card before upgrading to a different credit card that isn't secured? So I believe it was Catherine or Kat who talked about making sure that when you're requesting a new line of credit and doing a hard credit check, you really try to space it out. I would say to give it at least 6 months in between the amount of times you're requesting new credit cards or new lines of credit. So if you open one credit card in January, I would wait to at least June to open a second credit card because that's giving you time to kind of come back from the dip in the credit score that you might have received. And like our peer coaches mentioned, if you're applying for lines of credit, like a bunch in 1 month, so let's say you're trying to open a car loan, 2 different credit cards, and you're taking out a personal loan or a student loan all within 1 month, credit bureaus are going to say, oh my gosh, this person is really trying to like look for money in lines of credit right now. So try to space it out at least 6 months. That would be my recommendation. That's a good question. All right, so I think, oh, Kat, did you have a question?
I have a last question. I feel like it's a common experience for a lot of people to need to take out 30% of their, more than 30% of their credit line, of their credit limit. What would you recommend for them?
Yeah, so if you're someone in a month, so let's say your credit limit on your credit card is $1,000, and 1 month you need to buy, let's say you find a laptop for $900, and you buy that laptop for $900, and let's say at the end of the month you're able to pay it off, great. Go ahead and do that because that shows that you're borrowing money and paying it off, even if it's above the 30% of the $1,000. If you're not able to pay off the $900 on your $1,000 limit each month, you can do something that might help. It might sound a little odd. You can actually call your credit card company and ask if they can increase your credit line. So if they can increase your credit line to $2,000 or $5,000, then you're borrowing less than the 30% of your total credit line. So that's something that you might want to look into. I always recommend, if you can, pay more than the minimum per month, because like I said, credit card companies are making money off of you if you just pay the minimum each month. And folks are asking if we can send out these slides afterwards. Of course, you can also locate these exact slides on our website. So if you go to financialwellness.ucla.edu and you click on workshops, on the left-hand side, we have workshop types, which is a menu of all the different ones we offer. And you'll see a link to this exact workshop there. We also have workshops on student loans. We have workshops on budgeting. We have workshops on money and stress. We have workshops on investing. So if you're part of a club or organization, or if you want to learn more about these topics, reach out to your advisor about potentially coordinating another workshop on one of these topics. And I think Kevin, I think we have enough time, if I'm correct, for some questions that you all might have.
Yeah, we totally do. And just as a quick logistical reminder, Justin halfway through put the attendance sheet into the chat. So if you haven't gotten a chance already, please fill that out. And yeah, we definitely have time for some Q&A for you all.
Yeah, so if you all have any questions for myself, Kat, Leanne, Christy, or Alma, we are here to answer any questions related to credit, or if you have any questions at all related to anything financial.
I just want to say, I know that a lot of these things can kind of be like intimidating, especially like the more professional websites to check your credit, or those ones where you have to read a lot to figure out like the language of these institutions. I think a way that you can kind of get into learning about a lot of these things and what fits you best if you're trying to open a new credit card is YouTube. I do a lot of my research on YouTube, and it's really easy to just open up a website or like a video of like some financial advisor from like the Financial Diet or something like that, lecturing about some of the best credit cards within 5 minutes, and like scroll on Twitter or something and listen to it. And those are some ways that you can kind of like dip your feet into learning about it if it's been like on the back of your mind for a long time, but you just can't get yourself to do it.
Very, very true. There's also a lot of social media accounts we'd like to recommend to you all. So obviously our UCLA Financial Wellness Instagram page, we're posting information on there daily about different financial topics. We're also addressing topics such as filing for unemployment right now, the stimulus check, student loans for those of you who are graduating and thinking about repaying them. How are those impacted by COVID-19? Like Kat said, the Financial Diet is another good account to follow. I also recommend an account called the Financial Gym. That's a really great resource. It is a company that was founded by a woman who used to work for Merrill Lynch. And so she founded it a few years ago. It's based out of New York. And so now these locations have expanded across the country. And it's basically a gym where you can go to and hire a financial trainer to coach you on different financial goals that you might have. They have 2 different podcasts. One is called Martinis in Your Money. One is called Financially Naked. And they also have webinars on their website on these different topics. So investing, budgeting, etc., you name it. They also have a lot of resources. We have a question here. How does the student loan 6-month deferral for undergrad loans you mentioned work with grad school? Would you recommend extending the deferral if I take out more loans for grad school? This is a really awesome question about student loans. So if you are someone who is planning to go to graduate school, when you're in graduate school, or let's say you want to go into a doctoral program, your loans will be deferred for the amount of time that you're in school. So if you have undergrad loans, they will be deferred. Oftentimes this happens automatically, but what you'll want to do is make sure you contact your loan servicer and you tell them, hey, I'm going into a graduate program. I just want to make sure you all have the right information so that my loans can be deferred for the amount of time that I'm in school. And this will go beyond the 36 months. So for however long you're in graduate school. Yes, and then there's a question about taking out more loans for graduate school. Yes, so most folks today, there are ways definitely to pay for graduate school through fellowships or scholarships or assistantships that will help cover the cost of your graduate education. But a lot of students today will take out a graduate plus loan. So when you're an undergrad, plus loans are something that's offered to your guardians or parents to take out a loan on your behalf. When you enter graduate school, you could be offered potentially, if you qualify, what's called a graduate plus loan, as well as unsubsidized loans. So loans when you're in graduate school are, unfortunately, none of them are subsidized, which means from the moment you receive the loan money into your checking account, it starts to accrue interest while you're in graduate school. So that's a huge distinction between grad and undergrad when it comes to taking out loans. Great questions. Anything else? Any other questions you might have about budgeting? Elizabeth Warren wrote a really great book with her daughter called Know Your Worth. and she created a budgeting tool where she says whatever income you're receiving, her recommendation is to spend 50% on your needs, 30% on your wants, and 20% on your future self. So that's something that Elizabeth Warren has kind of created as a guideline. At Financial Wellness, we also recommend thinking of yourself in terms of your current self, your past self, and your future self. So if you are someone who is living in LA and paying rent, 70% of your income goes to current expenses. 20% of your current income goes to paying off anything from your past self, so any sort of student loan debt, etc. And then 10% goes to your future self. And so the goal with that is that your 20% of your past self will eventually be paid off and be added to the 10% of your future self, so that you're trying to save and invest 30% of your income.
I want to say, if you recently got your refund from the Hill because of moving out, or if you just got your stimulus check or anything like that, and you're thinking of where should I put this money, and you either need to you're thinking of putting it into a savings account or investing it in this really weird time, or even you need this money to spend but you just don't know how to spend it, we're here to help you with budgeting, savings, or investing, and anything like that. We can help you calculate your situation and figure out what's best for you.
That's awesome, Kat. Yeah, very, very true. And if you're someone who has enough money right now to put your money away in savings, we recommend an online high yield savings account. So there's different online savings account companies out there. Some that we recommend are Marcus.com, Wealthfront, Ally Banking. So these are all online savings accounts, which will give you more than 1% back on whatever money you put in on there into the account. So for example, a regular Bank of America savings account for me gives me 0.06% interest back on the money I have in their saving. But when I first opened my high yield savings account through Marcus.com, it was giving me 2% back on the money that I have in their saving. It's FDIC insured for up to $250,000. So what that means is the government is backing up to $250,000 of the money that you would put into an online savings account. If something bad were to happen, they would agree to give you back the up to $250,000. And it's a great way to make money off of money that you would normally be saving. Thank you, Alma, for sharing the links. And with Marcus.com, I can access my money and transfer it into my checking account with a different bank. And it's there within 24 to 48 hours. So there's no fees for accessing your money from an online savings account at any time. Any other questions? We recommend saving 6 to 9 months of living expenses in a savings account when you get to that point. So calculating how much it costs you to live a month and saving 6 to 9 months of that. And then after that point, we really want you to start thinking about how can your money start working for you, and start talking about investing some of that money beyond that point. So I know for some of us, especially a lot of us who come from backgrounds where we don't talk about investing at the dinner table, we don't really have maybe we're first gen and our parents never have investing accounts of their own. That wasn't part of the conversations. It can feel scary to start thinking about retirement accounts or investing accounts, but we're here for you as resources to start to talk about that, because it's better to start investing some of your money than to have it hanging out in a savings account where it's not making money off of your own money. And that's really how wealth begins to build for folks. Any other questions? And I'll just say, to Kat's point, when I really started to learn about this kind of stuff and start to take time to learn about finances and money, it was kind of scary and I felt overwhelmed. I think especially for me coming from a poor working class background, it just wasn't something that was ever talked about in a way that felt empowering. But I hope you know that we are here as a resource for you to talk about that. And Christy is showing the different coaching hours we have during the week. So we have coaching hours specifically for transfer students. We have coaching hours for first gen students. If you want to talk solely about investing, those are on Mondays and Wednesdays. And we also have hours for graduate students if you have some graduate students. And Alma made this flyer. It's very spring and sunny.
Sarah, you're muted.
Thank you. Kevin, if there's no more questions, I'm not sure if you have any wrap-up points of information you want to tell the group.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you everyone so much for attending. We really appreciate it. And I would love to invite you all back to do perhaps a workshop on investing in fall quarter, so our students can get kind of a part 2 of this series. So I think you're absolutely right, particularly for our first gen students or students who are poor. And I think that's absolutely a topic that isn't talked about as much that it should be. So thank you on behalf of our department to Sarah and all the financial wellness peers that are here today and presented. We really, really appreciate it. For our attendees, final reminder to please fill out the attendance form at your earliest convenience. That's in the chat. And at this point, Justin is going to go ahead and facilitate a group screenshot for us. So this is the part where if you are able to enable your camera, please do so. And you're not required to, so if you're uncomfortable doing that, that is fine as well.
Thank you, Kevin. Alrighty, everybody, if you want to be in the photo, feel free to just show your video. I'll wait a few more seconds for everybody to get settled.
Thank you guys for having us.
Of course, thank you for being here. Alrighty, a few more seconds. Anyone else? Awesome. Okay, I'll take a picture in 3, 2, 1. Awesome. I'll do one more quick one. Alrighty. In 3, 2, 1. Awesome. Thank you, everyone.
Fabulous. Thank you so much. And I will see everyone soon. Have a good one. Have a good week. See you week 3.